When you assume that original position behind that veil of ignorance, you will not make laws that will discriminate against women. Because you don't know, he says, the original position, whether after you have agreed to this set of principles, you will image a woman or a man or tall or short. And so the assumption was that we will be trying to be as fair as possible. Let us approach this with an open mind. But I'm appealing to you have those structures. Please build consensus. Don't divide the country.
Speakers who contributed ideas in the preparation of the constitutional review expressed the importance of taking the voice of the people-centered transparent approach with a view to build a strong legal framework which will represent the rise of the current evolving culture of all Botswana. Mpho Mkeleboga, Vulture Television, Gaborone.
The Department of Wildlife and National Parks says more than 200 vultures have died in the Chobe district in the last 2 years due to lead poisoning, which is said to be a serious threat to the vulture population, not only in Botswana but across the globe. The department recently joined hands with BirdLife Botswana to educate stakeholders about the dangers of lead usage in animals, particularly vultures. Let's get the full report from Neolai.
Vultures are an integral part of ecosystems because they clean up the environment by disposing of rotten flesh and bones, thereby reducing the spread of diseases among wildlife and livestock. The manager of BirdLife Botswana, Pesi, stressed the importance of vultures to the environment and why it is equally vital to preserve their lives.
So, because we know the vultures feed on the carcasses. So where there is no vultures, now those carcasses, we know the dogs feed on these dead animals. Then when the dog bites you, automatically you get a disease, rabies.
The Department of Wildlife and National Parks says lead poisoning has resulted in the death of over 220 vultures in Chobe district. Authorities say the absence of vultures can lead to the buildup of harmful diseases and bacteria due to exposed rotten carcasses, thus negatively impacting the environment.
Nature's cleaning crew or cleanup crew because
vultures are very important in the environment. In the absence of vultures, there would be an increase in the spread of diseases such as anthrax due to carcasses that would be spread everywhere in the environment. Vultures are mostly referred to as nature's cleanup crew because they feed on these carcasses and therefore keeping our environment clean. We noticed that over 220 vultures have died. This shows that we have to spread more awareness and educate different stakeholders, more especially farmers. We have to spread more awareness and educate different stakeholders, more especially farmers. Farmers use agrochemicals and pesticides which end up poisoning these scavengers as they feed on the carcasses of these pests that were killed with chemicals. Lead poisoning can also have harmful effects on humans.
It results in multi-system toxicity. Most of them are irreversible.
After lead enters the body, it affects different parts of the system, therefore harming the body. Children are the ones who are mostly affected by lead poisoning, and the health complications caused by this substance are irreversible.
What is irreversible?
Members of the public, especially farmers, are encouraged to refrain from using lead ammunition as it is said to be a danger to the lives of both human beings and animals. Neolai, BTV News, Kazungula.
A non-profit organization in Mawunga, Wild Impact, has been commended for embracing government's public-private partnership policy by donating critical monitoring and conservation equipment to the Anti-poaching unit at the Department of Wildlife and National Parks. The Northwest District Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Ramokgaupi Gaborekwe, expressed his appreciation to Wild Impact recently in Mawunga when they handed over equipment with over 600,000 pula to be used towards combating the advancement of poaching and monitoring conservation efforts. Maranyane Samakata reports.
Wildlife management has been described as an extremely expensive endeavor. Therefore, the generous donation by this non-profit community and conservation development partner, Wild Impact, will go a long way towards augmenting government's effort in managing and conserving wildlife.
It becomes even more difficult when it comes to combating wildlife crime. I know I will be biased, but the truth is combating wildlife crime is one challenge that requires massive resources, because we are dealing with organized crime. We are dealing with people who hide in the bush and hide their activities very well. And we need to be actually ahead of them all the time.
We have to protect this very resource which we are having with everything at our disposal. And what we have done today by giving us this donation will take us, a step further in conserving our fauna and flora.
The donated monitoring and conservation equipment comprises camping gear, digital cameras, tablets and drones. Alongside these gifts is a budget for the capacitation of officers who will be trained on how to use them efficiently.
The training has started and we have 16 wildlife officers that have received first aid training, which we would like to award certificates for today. And we also have started training of other equipments like trail cameras. In introductory equipment, training has already been done. And we are hoping that in the very near future that training will continue, where the officers will be receiving practical training, not just for the trail cameras, but for other electronic equipments as well.
We remain committed to support the Department of Wildlife. Mr. Habala, as I always talk to you every day, in all matters relating to endangered species protection and also the anti-poaching initiative and wildlife monitoring, as we donate this equipment to enhance the effort.
Ngamiland has been described as a major hotspot for poaching with extremely challenging terrains. Advanced technology such as the donated drones and cameras will come in handy for the anti-poaching officers as they fight off poachers in the region. Maranyane Samakata, BTV News, Maung.
The chairperson of Kuneng District Council, Mr. Ntefetseren Kibidu, has committed to support small businesses by amending bylaws to make it easier for them to expand their businesses and help stimulate the economy. Thank you, Sinso, with the full report.
Close to 100 entrepreneurs were opportuned to attend a capacity building branch where they were facilitated by council departments, parastatals and private companies. Some of the topics covered during the business branch hosted by Kuneng District Council include finances and saving, business etiquette that could lead to an increased clientele base, as well as an appealing work ethic. Sometimes banks partner with organizations such as UN with efforts to try and grow your businesses, and most of you fail to qualify because you have no records that show that you know how to handle your finances. You have to learn to approach offices to inquire for yourselves. Get first-hand information and avoid listening to people because they will advise you based on their experiences. That is how some of you miss out on opportunities. We are planning to open the bus rank and temporarily lend some of the stalls to vendors, perhaps for 6 months or a year. This will help them to establish their business as well.
6 months ngwaga ba sa duele e le go leka go ba
Entrepreneurs shared their experiences and key takeaways from the business gathering, mapping the way forward for their small enterprises. I was proposing that we should be allowed to group ourselves and contribute to build decent structures along the road. That way we would adhere to the standards of cleanliness required by the council because the structures will be uniform. We often find ourselves in trouble with vendors who buy their produce from foreigners, yet locally we charge less while they charge more. That becomes a problem because they fail to get customers due to their higher prices. Some of you engage foreigners in your businesses and you do not even report such people to us. Meanwhile, entrepreneurs have been encouraged to register their businesses and form a solid association that could represent them in a united voice to make it easier for them to get timely assistance. Thank you, Sentu. BTV News, Mulepolole.
In more news, more than 43,000 people in the country are battling with mental health issues, more than 50% of this number being male. This was confirmed by the Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs, Ms. Lesego Chombo, at the International Men's Day commemoration event on Wednesday in Acacia. She reiterated that this is exacerbated by some traditional practices and cultural norms which hinder males from openly displaying their emotions and sharing their challenges.
tse di bayang borre ka ha mosing segolo bogolo tse leng gore di ba thibela gore ba bue ba lele ba ikuele le ba ga etsong ke rata go tsaya nako e go tlhomamisetsa gore lephata la rona le itamile go tswalla go ema borre le basimane nokeng ke itse go bona le selelo tsa gore rena re bommehela mme re ikemiseditse gore re eme borre le basimane nokeng mme ebile re tsweletse go bereka le maphata a mangwe a harologaneng re bulegetse go amogela megopolo e harologaneng gore re tswelele go tlhabolola ditirelo tsa rona tse di tebagantseng le borre.
Different speakers at a memorial service to honor Botswana Press Agency BOPA award-winning photographer Mr. Godfrey Godi Mpuse said they respected him for his passion, commitment to service and his ability to capture powerful images that told the nation's stories with clarity and compassion. Among those who attended the service yesterday afternoon was the Minister for State President, Mr. Moiti Mhwasa. Ngutula Tamare was there.
Godfrey Mpuse, who served the Botswana Press Agency, BOPA, for many years, was described by his colleagues as a humble and hardworking professional who remained committed to his craft until his health declined. Many credit him with shaping the standards of photojournalism within the daily news and mentoring younger photographers who looked up to him for guidance.
Godfrey, the Godfather, Mpuse. Rahano ba getso go lemoga mosimane yo
e ne le mogakolodi ke mongwe wa batho ba tshwana le Duncan ba ba ileng gore nna nkgakolla gore Mr. Mabende di ile dingwaga a ga o bone sepe ka mo ke go senkela go thamaga a go setse go builwe matlho a matletse mo ke shebile.
He was an award-winning photojournalist. And I remember he had about 8 awards, 7 Ita Sports and 1 year SEDEC. So as his mentor, when he comes to my office carrying, is this not the time regarding the student has surpassed the teacher?
Nesi motho wa hierarchy. Kuri nesi motho wa kokoroga. Kirare okay ene na naturally na nzelalo. Mina sa kokoroga. Godfrey was just an exceptional person, right?
In 2020, Mpuse won the SADC Photographer of the Year award, cementing his eye for detail in the photography space beyond Botswana borders. His family described him as a responsible family man. Government also recognized Mpuse's contribution towards the growth of the media space in the country.
Ka camera mo lehatsheng la Botswana ka camera ha gagwe ne re kgona gore re ipone mo go ene dikgwetho tse dinte le tse di sa nnang sentle tse ne re tsamaya mo go tsone.
Godi, as he was affectionately known, will be laid to rest at his home village of Tamaga on Saturday. Ungutle Tamage, BTV News, Gaborone.
On the international front, the U.S. President Donald Trump's administration vehemently denied South Africa's announcement that the United States was ending a boycott of this weekend's G20 summit in Johannesburg, saying no U.S. official would take part in the summit. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier on Thursday described an 11th hour about turn by the Trump administration, which had relentlessly attacked South Africa over the treatment of white minority farmers by the post-apartheid government. However, the White House said the U.S. ambassador would attend, but only for a handover ceremony, as the United States will host the summit of the Club of Global Economic Powers next year at a golf club owned by Trump in Florida. The Group of 20 represents some 85% of the global economy, with its summits becoming major gatherings for world leaders since the economic crisis of 2008. Trump had initially agreed to send Vice President J.D. Vance before ruling out any participation. The G20 summit is the latest major international gathering to be snubbed by the United States under Trump. The United States is also shunning the ongoing COP30 climate talks in Brazil, with Trump instead defending fossil fuels and rejecting the scientific consensus on the planet's rising temperatures. All right, let's dive right into the world of sports with Tato Khosimore.
Thank you, Lucia Ramasu. In context, continues with a sports update. And here's our first story this afternoon. It was a 5-star showing from Dinare FC as they stormed to a 5-2 victory over Security Systems in a Week 11 fixture played at the JU Stadium last night. The emphatic win also elevated them to the summit of the First Division South Lock standings. Komsa Sofako reports.
Both teams came into the clash buoyed by wins in their respective Week 10 fixtures. Dinare had S Union Flamingo Santos by a goal to nil away in Habane, while Security Systems collected 3 points against Notwani. Security Systems drew first blood, taking the lead just 4 minutes into the match as the experienced Thabo Okupotse converted from a penalty spot after Dinare handled the ball inside the area. Moments later, Mpapi Chinyepe doubled the lead, finishing off Bokan Ratipana's cross. But Dinare refused to panic as Clive Augusto pulled one back with a towering header from a set piece. On the 21st minute, Thaba Moketsi leveled the matters with another free kick, making it 2-2. Dinare kept pressing and Augusto rose again to head home his second, turning the scoreline 3-2 in favor of Dinare. Just before half-time, Gideon Nielsen was brought down in the box. Augusto stepped up and coolly slotted the penalty to complete his hat-trick, sending Dinare into the break 4-2 ahead. The second half continued at a frantic pace, but it was Dinare who extended the advantage as Ronila Khetsi killed in a stunning free kick to seal the 5-2 triumph.
You can hear mental draw the player after ba khona go gora to
to ba simolano ba batla go boela go mora ba go defend kana kwa teng kana go ile gore team e taba le tshwarela go ne go re ano le ntsela mo pele ga goalkeeper ya lona ke za gore masulele na o ka bo kila re thusa no kila lebella di bolo za tsena di rigwara tsotse ga se di bolo tse leng gona le dingalo ntse di kala because ano lebella first goal ene le free kick o ka ba kila tswa mo paleng a tswa a etsa a ba emela gore di striker di head before ka.
Before we played Santos in those 4 games, we only won 1 and we scored 1. We conceded 3 goals, we lost 3. But today it was a good reaction that when you concede goals, it's not the end of the game. You could see the hard work from the boys and all that, because this is first division. It doesn't matter how good you play. The ball must hit the net. You must close at the back. The rest, when the players get the confidence. Okay, we want them to play the ball, but at the end we need that energy more than anything. Let's hope whatever happens, it motivates us over the weekend, because the teams are still going to play Saturday, and for now we are on top, which is good.
With the win, Dinare move level on 22 points with Prisons 11, but take top spot thanks to a superior goal difference. Homza Sefako, PTV Sport, Gaborone.
Still with football, but turning attention to the Elite League. Gaborone United will look to continue with their form and return to the summit of the log as they welcome Francistown-based outfit Tafik this evening at GU Stadium. Moyakulele are placed the second on the log with 25 points after playing 10 games, winning 8 games and having drawn 2. Machimyenga, on the other hand, have won 2 games, lost 4 and drawn 6 games from 12 outings. The match is scheduled for 7 p.m. That's all we had for you from In Context Sports Desk. In Context continues with Lucia Ramasu. Good afternoon.
As the World Bank's global lead for teachers, I am deeply encouraged by the focus of this work. The research and dialogue you are fostering here will have far-reaching implications for education policy and practice